Hello and welcome to Lorbek Luxury Cars. I'm Harry and today we've got for you the ultimate Porsche, the 911 GT2. The ultimate track Porsche for the road, the GT2 has a 390 kilowatt flat 6 turbocharged engine which will launch you to 100 in just 3.6 seconds. With a wide rear track and carbon ceramic brakes, everything about this Porsche is focused simply on power, speed, handling and ultimately being the best. So what's one to do when you've got a 390 kilowatt beast? Well, if you ask me, there's only one thing to do. That's get on the road and give it a burn. Let's get on it. Now, a couple of weeks back, if you remember, we actually drove the GT3 RS and the GT3 Club Sport back to back, and it was proved to be quite interesting because even though they're essentially the same car, they end up feeling very, very different and were built for very different purposes. So my expectation was driving this car that it would seem very, very familiar but completely different, and to be honest, that's exactly what I got. And as you're driving along, when you're driving from between 0 and 4,000 RPM, it feels just like a GT3. That's because essentially it is. But as soon as you go above it, the turbos kick in and all hell breaks loose. Just a whole wave of lunacy and craziness just absolutely comes over, and it just makes it a totally different animal to drive. Completely terrifying and just nuts. You'd be forgiven for thinking that because this is just the most hardcore, powerful, frightening, terrifying track Porsche for the road, that it would just be completely devoid of luxuries or any hint of comfort. And in many respects, I guess that's true. The ride is just rock solid. Great for the track, but if you're driving around on rutted streets, it's not ideal. But having said that, we've got every sort of conceivable luxury that you expect on a modern car. I've got satellite navigation, climate control, power steering, buttons on the steering wheel, computers in the dash that tell you stuff. It's really not an unfamiliar place to those who are used to driving a brand new car. It really is still quite a very modern car. So, on top of the other things that I've mentioned, like the sat nav and the buttons on the steering wheel, this car's also been optioned with extended napa leather on the dash and on the doors. So it just gives that little bit of extra opulence which you don't get in the standard GT2. Now that we're approaching a couple of corners, drop it down a couple of gears and see how she goes. Whoa! The GT3 was fast, but this is just on a whole new level. This is just madness. I mean, you put your foot down, and like the GT3, there's not a huge amount that happens low down in the rev range. It's a bit underwhelming if I'm honest. But as soon as you hit those revs, it just goes absolutely nuts, and you're thrown into the back of your seat, and you're just terrified that the wheels are going to spin up and just have the car spinning completely the wrong direction. We're going to try and avoid doing this because at the end of the day, we don't want to crash a car worth nearly $500,000. But more than that, we don't want to die. So let's try not.